All right, welcome to tonight's webinar, information session, whatever you want to call it, learning on how to read a nutrition label. My name is Courtney. I am the founder of One Fit from Fitness. I've been in the fitness industry for going on 14 years. I've been at this a long time. It's a passion of mine. In my spare time, I like to research and learn about everything health and fitness. So over the years, I've gathered quite a bit of knowledge and tested it myself and trialed and errored things. And here I am. So tonight I'm going to take you through how to read a nutrition label because it's a vital, important piece to the journey. Food is a huge portion of this journey. As to if you're going to lose the weight or not. So that's why reading a nutrition label is very important also. So let's get started. So let's talk calories first. So first off, a calorie is just a way to measure the energy value of food. That's all it is. I know calories is a scary word, at least it was for me before I got really familiar with the health and fitness industry. Prior to that, calorie was a bad thing. We didn't want to consume calories because the more calories you ate, the more weight you'd gain, right? But it really is just the way of measuring the energy value of food. So no need to be afraid of calories. But for decades, we've been told to watch our calorie intake and that we must burn what we consume in order to lose weight. Right? So do you remember going out for dinner and having a piece of cake because it was somebody's birthday and then fretting that you consumed all those extra calories? So the first thing you did when you got home was hit the treadmill and run until you reached like 200 calories burned or something, hours. We're in fear of putting calories in our body because we needed to burn them off in order to lose weight. And it's really not a good way to live, to stay motivated. And I mean, although that is true to a certain extent, it's not all about the calories in and calories out. And I'm going to explain that to you today. And what it is it's more about what type of calories you add in. Not all calories are equal. For example, the calories in a can of soda metabolize differently than the calories from an apple. So if a calorie is just a calorie, then we could consume a soda in replace of an apple every day and lose weight, but that's not the case. It depends on the type of calories. So while it's good to know about calories, I don't get too excited about them. I actually don't ever look at them on the label. I look more at what is in the food. So Dr. Robert Lustig, I reference him here on the slide, you can see. And he says it's not about the calories, it's about the insulin response that the calories cause. And the insulin response is very specific to the food consumed. And he's absolutely right. You can follow him on YouTube. He's got some very good videos. He's a medical doctor and endocrinologist. So he also says that it's not that we're eating more, it's that we're eating more sugar. And it's what sugar is doing to our metabolic system that's causing all these problems. All right, so quote unquote healthy foods. So you're exercising, you're eating right, or you think you're eating right, but possibly those quote unquote healthy foods that you're eating could be laced with sugar. And that's counterintuitive to your efforts to lose weight because when you consume sugar, a whole slew of metabolic changes take place. The way the sugar metabolizes, insulin is involved, fat stores involved. I won't get too sciencey, but yogurt is a huge one. We look at yogurt, and especially Greek yogurt, and we think health. And A lot of those yogurts on the market are filled with sugar, especially the kids yogurt. So the bright fancy characters on them, the yogurt drinks, the yogurt tubes. It's basically like having a yogurt shot. So you really have to look at the label. So sugar can be hidden in yogurt, milk, breakfast cereals, pasta sauces, salad dressing, orange juice, and even bread. So that's why we're going to get really good at checking our labels. Okay, that brings us to attracting food labels. So you've probably been at a point, maybe you are now, but I was at a point in my life where prior to this, so maybe about 15 years ago, prior to starting my health and fitness and getting really into health and fitness, when I would hit up the grocery store, everything that went in my cart had these labels: fat-free, low calorie, low fat. They were in my cart. But I would rather you just pick up the whole version, the regular version, because these foods with these attractive labels slapped on them, once the companies remove the fat, the food has no flavor and it's quite disgusting and bitter by taste. So in order to make up for that lost taste, make the food more palatable, they fill the product with sugar. And it's just sad. So don't fall for these labels. Actually, did you know that food companies can slap the attracting phrase light on the foods just because they're light in color, not because they're light on the body, no, because they're light in color. So there's a lot of ways that the food companies can get around marketing to make their food sound more appealing. All right, so this is where you're going to look first. So when evaluating your food, the first place you'll want to look is the ingredient list. This list is usually found below the food label or on the other side of the package. So you can see in the picture here, I have it listed, circled in red. So the shorter the ingredient list, the better. Longer lists usually include many words that we cannot pronounce, which tend to be chemicals. So the shorter the list, the less the ingredients, the purer it is. The longer the list, the more mumbo jumbo additives that are in there. So the ingredient lists here are listed in order by quantity, from highest to lowest concentration. The first ingredient on the list makes up the majority of the product. So that means when you look at the ingredients, the first thing that's listed there means that it has the highest concentration in the product. So you can see here, milk, chocolate, and sugar are the top things on this ingredient list. So that means that this product is made up of mostly chocolate and sugar. So it's the list here, this ingredient list is where you'll find hidden trans fats, added sugars, MSGs, GMOs, preservatives, chemical colorants, chemical flavors, chemical textures. So make sure you really analyze the contents and determine if you want this in your body. If you don't like what you see on the ingredient list, don't even bother checking out the nutrition label. Put the product back and move on to the next one. All right, so the next thing you're going to want to check out, now that you've decided that the food you want to eat, the ingredient list is fine and you're going to go ahead with the food. So the next important area to look at is the serving size. So you can see on the slide here, I have it circled in red. This is where the serving size is going to be located, but you always want to check the serving size because it's going to be different on every food. This label here, the total fat, sodium, carbs, fiber, sugar, those numbers do not make up the entire package. Those numbers represent the serving size. So 12 grams of sugar in 2/3 cups. So that's what that means is this label is based on the serving size. So don't be fooled thinking that you have a box of ice cream and it says, oh, there's only, for example, 230 calories in this box of ice cream. No, you got to check the serving size. It's probably 230 calories in 1 cup. And again, we don't want to get excited about the calories, but I'm just using that as an example. So just be aware of the serving sizes. All right, let's talk about sugar. The less sugar, the better, obviously. Sugar is always going to be found towards the bottom of the label. I have it circled here in red. So it's not the calories or the fat content that are making us sick and allowing us to gain weight. It's hands down the sugar. And it's hidden in everything. Okay, so sugar messes with our hormones. It blocks leptin. And leptin is a hormone that is in charge of telling us that we're full and that we need to stop eating. So what sugar does is it blocks leptin from reaching the brain. And that's why when we eat high processed sugar-filled food, we're never satisfied and we continue to eat. So we get that donut. 5 minutes later, we're still hungry, right? So that's what's happening in the body when sugar is consumed. Sugar also spikes the hormone insulin, which makes it very hard for our body to access and burn fat. So with that being said, keep sugar content as close to 0 grams as possible. Make sure you guys can hear me. All right, let's move on. Okay, but what about natural sugars, right? So here you'll see a cup of Juicy Gems, and what it is a fruit cup full of pomegranate seeds. So the serving size on the label is 100 grams. So you can see that at the top, which is the size of this fruit cup. So that tells us that everything we read on the nutrition label will pertain to this one container. Looking at the sugar content, it shows 14 grams, which seems like a lot for this little serving. But look at the fiber content as well. It shows 4 grams, which is great. And I have this highlighted here. I have the fiber in yellow and the sugar in red. So this tells me that the sugar is natural. You'll see that the label also says 0 grams of added sugar, which is also a good indicator that the sugar is natural. So natural sugar, like the sugar found in fruit, is always accompanied with fiber. Fiber slows the absorption of the sugar, which keeps the blood sugar levels level. So that's the difference between processed sugar and sugar in fruit. So some people say, well, sugar is bad for me, then should I stop eating fruit? No, fruit is high in fiber and it offsets the natural sugar in the fruit. So it's going to absorb quickly. It's not going to have the same metabolic response as processed sugar. So you'll almost never see fiber on a food label that contains processed sugar. Processed food companies remove fiber to prolong shelf life, which gives the food company an advantage to store and ship food resulting in more profit for them and poor health for us. And over here is just a slide of me showing you processed sugar. So you can see there's no value, no nutrition value. And did you know that 1 can of soda each day results in about 15 pounds of weight gain a year? So that's significant. So if it's 15 pounds in 1 year, that adds up over some time. So, and that brings me back to but the reason why all calories are not equal. A calorie is not a calorie. So calories aren't my main focus here, and they shouldn't be yours either. Because if there's no fat in soda, as you can see here, and calories aren't outrageous, as you can see here, then why does it still produce weight? If the sugar we need to focus on, it's the sugar that we need to focus on and the effects it has metabolically on our body. So what about the fat content? So the only fat that you should really focus on is trans fat. Trans fat is also known as partially or hydrogenated oils and can have negative effects on the body, like increasing plaque in your arteries, which results in heart disease and stroke. Knowing the dangers of trans fat, food corporations can still sneak it in their products and still label it as 0 grams. So you have to watch for that. We'll talk about that more on the next slide. So most of the time you'll have to look on the ingredient list to find the trans fat. So here it is. So hidden trans fats. Food companies can incorporate trans fats into their products if, and not label them, if the trans fat is less than half a gram. I mean, any trans fat is bad, so you don't want to consume any of it. So just because it says 0 grams of trans fat does not mean they aren't present in the food. You must resort to the ingredient list. If you see the word hydrogenated, it contains trans fat. So like I said, manufacturers can sneak it in if it's equal to less than half a gram. All right, so here's some additional things to know. So other pesky ingredients to look out for remain in the ingredients list. GMOs reside here, and you can identify them with 2 keywords: genetically modified. Corn and soy are the major GMO crops, so assume that any product made with these 2 ingredients are genetically modified unless stated otherwise. Hidden sugars can be found in the ingredients list as well, all 52 of them. So sugar can be hidden under 52 different names. And some of the bad ones, well, they're all bad, but some of the common ones are high fructose corn syrup. If you see that in your ingredients list, avoid that. Dextrose or anything ending in ose. Anything ending in ose is sugar, but high fructose corn syrup is a very, very bad one, and one that's really disrupting our metabolic systems and making it harder for us to lose weight and causing cardiovascular disease and diabetes. So toxic oils will also be listed here, and you'll want to avoid these as well. Salad dressings are a big one for this, but the oils you'll want to avoid are cottonseed oil, soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, and canola oil. Those are all toxic oils. The only clean oils that you should want to avoid or to consume are coconut and olive oil. So these are phrases that are going to be on the foods that you want to look for. So GMO free with a verified stamp like this picture here. It's a good sign that the food is GMO free and healthy, and yeah, so that's a good one to have. Certified organic is another one that's good. Wild caught, you want to, this pertains to fish. You want to choose wild caught fish opposed to farm fed fish, farm caught fish, farm raised fish. No antibiotics, that's a good thing to look for on meat. Pasture raised, that's a good thing to look for when looking at eggs and meat. And grass fed, also a good thing for meat. So the label, when we look at it and we look at the ingredient list, it can be confusing or mind-boggling or overwhelming, but I hope this video helped break down some of the key points to the food label and just a few things that you should focus on. Not focusing on the fat content and the calories so much, but the sugar, the trans fat, and not falling for the attracting labels. So that's it for this. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, I'm Courtney, and you can email me at onefitmonfitness@gmail.com. See you next time.